What's up guys, Alfie here with a video on mechanics that can help you in your boss fights to improve your survivability and your damage output depending on how you apply them. So the first one is Soul Link, and the basics of Soul Link is that when you're Soul Link to a character, you now have an access to their ult. In addition to that, their ability is now the cooldown is replaced by a mana cost. So if we just start a basic fight here, everyone else is going to start using their cooldowns, but the Soul Linked character won't use an ability unless you activate it. Unless you activate auto, then they're going to just spam it in auto as they have mana and with no real rhyme or reason. So if you're struggling with a boss, the first thing is to just turn off the auto and control the skills. One of the benefits to having a soul linked monster is you no longer have the cooldown. So if you have a longer cooldown than desired, for example Bassett, who I'm using right here, if we go to her skills, her blessing, her Oasis Blazing, which is her attack buff. The attack up is for 11 seconds, but it's a 30-second cooldown. That's 19 seconds of a gap without the attack buff. So by replacing that cooldown with a mana cost, now you both have control of when you're using it and the uptime. You can reduce any downtime, and your mana, you start off with 7, but if you go into your summoner skills and into utility, you can raise it to 10 and then increase how much or how fast you are receiving your mana. And with that, you can kind of get around not having max skilled supports or damage dealers that are doing their damage with an ability. Keep in mind though that any damage modifiers are still lower, so you still want to skill up your monsters. But if you, for example, I'm using Bastet for her attack buff mainly. The shield is a bonus, but I really care about that attack buff. So by keeping her on my Soul Link, I now have more uptime of attack buff, which is one trick that helped me clear Borbos. And by keeping control of her, I can also not use her skill 2, which is attack down, unless I need it. So that lets my mana stay high to do the shield if I need it, or attack down or attack up. It's just better to do most hard bosses on manual and make sure this auto button at the bottom is off. When you go into a dungeon, it will actually start off in auto, so you will have to turn it off. I haven't found a way to turn it off in game without doing it manually. And the next tip is to get used to going between follow me and focused attack. A lot of times in bosses, if you're on follow me and moving around, they will not attack while if you're in focus attack, they will. So you only want to use follow me when you need them to move. We'll go into a dungeon in a second and show it, but one more thing is there's a distance that they can stay attacking. Let's see if I can keep them from killing it long enough to show it. So that's the distance. When you're in a boss and they're focused on attacking him, if you stay on the other side of them as a tank or as the support or mage, it doesn't really matter, because if you're the mage or support, then your tank should be in the front taking the damage and you're going to be behind it. And what'll happen is when it goes to do a skill and you see the area of effect, if you're outside of that area of effect, that's when you trigger your follow me and pull them away. While if you're the tank, now they're behind it, and you can, with Cleave, the only tank really, so you're gonna have this dash, and the dash is long enough to get behind most bosses, I haven't tried it in some of them, but in Borbos especially, it's long enough to get behind him, so you can be face tanking, and then when he goes to do his forward facing AoEs, you just dash behind them. Okay, we're here in Lava Caves. I'm going to use this one because it's one of the more difficult fights to begin with, and it's my highest level for the dungeons at the moment. There's a few more mechanics with Borbos. I go over them in my Lava Caves guide, both the walkthrough and the team formation and just general guide. So I'm not going to go too in depth here. We're just going to apply the tips I gave, the team loading screen, and there's one thing that's kind of a mechanic that people might not be noticing, and that's if your power is too low, you go into this penalty range, and depending on how low below the power it is, the higher the penalty. It goes up to 50%, and then once you reach its threshold, it goes to 25%, and then it goes away in the slightly hard. And once you get, I believe, around 90 to 100% or higher, is when you get into the good range where you now have a damage bonus instead. And that's something to keep an eye out for if you're dying a lot. So now we're going to go in and I'm going to kind of showcase how to use these mechanics. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to walk back just so that we don't trigger aggro and turn off auto. We're going to make sure we're on focus attack at the beginning, and we're going to come in, target the boss, and I'm going to dash behind him and draw aggro with provoke, hopefully. Didn't land a provoke. He might not be provocable. Evade there. Oh, I dashed the wrong way. Okay, don't do that. One thing I forgot to talk about is there's a set distance that you can be from your monsters. So if you maintain yourself behind the boss where you can and keep a slight distance from your monsters, you can not use your evade and just walk backwards if you're trying to pull your monsters away. It really only works on Cleef because you're the tank, and it'll help you. It's just learning how to tank or support. It's really just positioning. If you've done big raids in WoW, you understand the mechanics but don't realize it applies to just you playing the game, since you are a whole team. And that's pretty much it as far as this video. I don't want to actually finish the boss. I'm just showing the skills and how to do it. So here, I'm just going to pull them away. With follow me, the animation is a little bit quicker. Couldn't walk far enough, so I just hit the follow me. They're dead, but I wasn't going to beat it while talking. So hope this video helps.